Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Hey, What's Your Problem? My name is Caroline, and this is my co host.
Munif Saza. Caroline, how are you today?
Hey man, I'm doing really well. You know what? I was thinking, and I meant to mention this before we started this live. I think we
hmm
need to open up with, Hey, this is my problem. And I know that we were talking right before we started recording this, and you're going to be doing something different. So tell me what your problem is
hmm
and what you're going to do to change it.
Okay, great. So, as you know, and as some people who watch us know, we're doing the phase one of the 75 hard challenge. So, that is something where, for those who don't know, it's you work out twice a day. One has to be outside. You drink about a gallon of water a day, and you do
Mm-hmm.
certain power tasks. It's a bunch of lists of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing phase one, and my problem is that I felt internally that I have been doing the bare absolute minimum. I'm on, I think it's day 7. I think today's day 7. Um, or is it day? No, is it day?
Today's day 6.
Today's day 6. Um, so I've been
No, it is
doing
day
it.
7. Excuse me. It is day 7.
It
My
is day
bad.
7, right? Okay. So,
Mhm.
so on day 7, I feel like this week, I've literally just been doing the bare minimum of just doing the checklist tasks, right? Like just barely. So if it's like all my workouts have been go on a walk. Oh, there it is. Nice.
There you go.
Um,
Throw it up there.
where like that's my fitness goals involve going to the gym and doing strength training, going to the sauna and doing very very light cardio in the sauna. Right? There's like certain fitness goals, and I'm like, this past week has been me doing the bare minimum, and so as you know, phase one is only 30 days, right? So I was reflecting on it, and then I got your miracle morning text, which the miracle morning that also is 30 days. So I was like, all
Mhm.
right, I've been feeling, my problem is I've been feeling the phase one, me implementing phase one in my life has been me doing the bare minimum for it. And I wanted to change that. So my solution is I'm going to restart phase one tomorrow and do it in conjunction with the miracle morning for the next 30 days and see how that goes, and just bring new intention to it. I haven't been as intentional as I want to be for it, and I want to bring new intention to it.
I love that. Well, I had to plug in my internet there. I was losing some signal, but I wanted to just share everybody, just so you know, we've already talked about last week. Our episode was talking about what the 75 hard was, and we are in. There's 3 phases after you complete the initial 75 hard. So right now we are in 75 hard phase one. So if you're doing 75 hard, yours looks a little different. We have added on the 3 more power lists to do, the 5-minute cold shower, and then the 10-minute visualization. So ours is a little different than the first one. Um, so I understand that. That's great. So your problem was you just felt like you weren't intentionally doing everything. You're just hitting off that checklist.
Right,
I am going to
exactly.
continue. Yeah, I'm going to continue on with it. And I want to share like what's been working out well for me, and what has helped me be successful in this, because this is a whole new ball game for
Yeah.
us compared to the first 75 hard. And I know one of the things, like the biggest thing that has been so helpful for me on doing this is creating that routine. And I just told you, like this morning, we were going to record this earlier, but we had another Zoom and all kinds
Right.
of stuff. And this is the first morning since I started doing phase one of the 75 hard that I have like, I spent 3 hours just doing what I wanted to. I had breakfast, I did some laundry, I took my cold shower. And I'm not going to lie, the hardest part of this phase one has been the cold showers for me. I keep
Yes.
getting in my head about it. I know we talked about this last week, and you sent me the video about the breathing thing, the breathing exercise to be successful in this. And this is my tip. So this is my tip if you guys are going to take a cold shower. And I know last week we talked about like the benefits of this. So I'm going
Right.
to recap that really quickly, like why the cold shower is so good for you. So one, it gets you used to doing uncomfortable things. And I started doing the 75 hard because like I was tired all the time. I didn't want to be a diabetic. Diabetes runs in my family. I had the
Right.
anxiety because I wasn't prepping for my day. I'd wake up and immediately roll into doing stuff. I don't know if you're like that, Munif. I don't know if anybody that's listening is like that, but I feel like, honestly, majority of my life, 90% of my life, I immediately wake up, brush my teeth, make sure I don't look ridiculous, and then go after whatever task I'm doing, eat like a breakfast bar on the way. And that would create even more anxiety for me. I'd be like, oh, anxious. I was just wound up so tight. And I never got to just like focus on me. Actually, today on my Instagram, if you go to my Instagram story, I literally talked about how with my ADD as well, I have so many thoughts going through my head. I never just take time to be completely silent and just focus on what do I want. I'll do that for like maybe a minute. I'll write down, yeah, I want to be a millionaire because I can help domestic abuse victims. And I don't really like dig into it anymore because it's weird. I'm weird at receiving compliments and getting gifts and things. And I need to work on that. But my favorite part of this 75 hard is the 10-minute visualization. Like, oh my gosh, I've unlocked a tapped area of my brain. I'm constantly listening to music, listening to podcasts, audiobooks, consuming content instead of just being alone with my thoughts. So I'd say that is my favorite part. And then being in the cold shower. Let me bring it back in off my ADD rant. Makes you comfortable with being uncomfortable and sitting still and reading. And I've just had this kind of like breakthrough the last week of like, holy cow, like there's so much untapped potential if I just sit down and breathe through this and talk about this and walk myself through like how I'm going to achieve my goals. We talked about like, I'm going to win the Closers Olympics. And what do I need to do to make that happen? But it makes you comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's something that we need to do to achieve whatever we want. So along with being uncomfortable and getting used to it, it helps circulation. And I will tell you, I'm paper white. I don't know if you're not watching the episode, you're listening in, just know that your girl's a ginger. I got the Irish in me, and I was taking my shower today, Munif, and like I could see the veins actually in like this portion of my hand, like the meaty part of under your thumb. I was like kind of purplish. I'm like, oh wow, this is really moving. My blood is really pumping, and it's cold. Getting used to all this, so it helps circulation. It helps your mitochondria production. It helps it lowers your resting heart rate, and it increases your calorie burn. And it also just improves your skin and makes your hair shinier, and then it makes you wake up. So what I'd been doing is I would wake up, do my miracle morning. We talked about that. I do my miracle morning routine. I do the Zooms that I run in the morning for work for my W-2, the daily dial. And then after that, I would take my 5-minute cold shower. Well, today I moved things around. I read my book, and then I started making breakfast, and I jumped in the shower. And in the suggestions, it says, go do your workout and then come back and take your shower. I think I'm going to change it up. There's nothing wrong with showering more than one time a day. I mean,
I shower twice a day.
I think I'm changing it to from here on out, I'm immediately waking up and I'm jumping in the shower. And one of the tips I would tell you guys is because I'm like, when I'm looking at the shower, I'm like, I'll push it off. I'm like, you know what? It's a 5-minute shower. I'm going to wait till the top of the clock. Even though I use my watch that has a timer, I can just use my timer. I'm like, I'm going to wait till it says 1 p.m. and then I'm jumping in. So I know at 1:05 I need to be out or whatever. And I've just changed it around to I'm turning on the water and I'm not letting the water actually touch my body first. I'm going straight in. So the shower is hitting me right on my forehead. So what I've found is with my face getting hit with the ice cold water first, the rest when it touches, because I was doing it last week where I just let it touch my chest and my body and I was freezing and shivering. But when I get my face in it first, it's like I can do this. I can breathe through it. It's not bad. So I do about a minute of where I'm just deep in the cold shower. And this is my other caveat for you guys. I'm a girl that loves like the scalding hot showers. Like I'm one of those people, hot showers. I could be in the shower all day. And what I found is 5 minutes is a long time to take a shower, actually. 5 minutes is a long shower, especially when it's cold. The first few days of taking that shower, I have my little, I have a scrubbing brush thing. I'd put soap on it. I'd scrub my body clean. I'm like, wow, there's still 3 minutes left in the shower. What can I do here? So it's much easier. I can get things accomplished if you do that. So if you guys are thinking about it, you're going to have more clarity. You're going to have that boost of energy. The cold shower, start it out on your forehead and then give yourself some time. And I've been powering through it. So I was being a little baby about it. Don't time the showers. Yeah. So another tip, I was putting on some DMX and I was listening to 2 songs. So I'm like, okay, each song's about 3 minutes. If I go through 2 full songs, I'm good. And then once I got going, I mean, I'm not lying. I felt pretty good. The other day I did a 10-minute cold shower. So it's only good for you guys. It's only going to help you out. So I'm loving the cold showers. That is my tip out of everything. The rest we've already talked about, drinking your gallon of water. I take my Camelback and drink 3.5 liters on my walk. You have this. Did you get that from Amazon? Just that jug?
I love this thing. It's so nice.
Yeah. So you can track your water intake. That's another hard one. And then my progress picture I always take first. But those are the main things. And I can't emphasize this enough. Like I even wrote out, where did I put it? This is a different piece of paper, but I'm actually working on my affirmations. So
nice.
We talked about, I sent you the link for the Miracle Morning app. I'm reading The Miracle Morning for Millionaires. Talked about this last week. Great book. If you guys don't have this, get it. It will change your day. Your morning is where you set the tone for your day.
Yes.
So that's been great.
Yes.
I had to, I actually never completely finished the Can't Hurt Me book because I stopped with a chapter left, and then I ended up moving and a bunch of things were going on. So this weekend I finished reading that final chapter. And one of the things I know you said that you don't feel like you were being as intentional with your 75 hard. You were just kind of completing checklists.
Right.
Well, have you read You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins yet, Munif?
Oh, I've read that book. I have the audiobook. I've listened to it twice. I love that book.
Love it. So when I was reading it the first time, I just kept thinking like, gosh, I'm a little baby. I'm a little bitch. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not pushing myself enough. And I'm sure you're probably like, yeah, I haven't been like getting after my workouts. I'm walking and I want to do more. Now, for everybody listening, remember, if you want to do the 75 hard, this is like a lifestyle change. Think of this as a marathon, not a sprint. So if you're coming in here and you have not been physically active and you're not like at peak physical performance, don't think you have to restart and be like Munif and go join like a boxing club and get after it. Like there were times during the 75 hard where I actually just had to walk twice a day because my lower back was so tight. And then reading this book, the last chapter, which I didn't finish, he talks about where he had to go through buds 3 times in 1 year, which is not good for you. Actually, they say when you go through the buds program, which is Navy SEAL training, where you get to like, if you guys have ever seen it, where they ring the bell and it makes you super, super tough. It actually shaves years off of your life because it's so hard. Well, right. What David Goggins basically talks about it in the book is he was unhappy with himself. So let me see. I don't know if you can actually make it out on here. There you go. You can see in this is him when he was like at his heaviest.
Oh, wow.
And this is him as a Navy SEAL. So in the photo, if you just look up David Goggins, I can't remember exactly how much he weighed, but he had to lose like 120 pounds in 3 months to go to Navy SEAL training. So
he had there was a time period he had to like drop like 40 pounds in a week or something, and he just it was insane, right? He ran like this track for like days. He would just run this track. It was insane.
It's wild. He's been able to unlock a portion of his mind that so many of us don't think that we can. He talks about like, that's what I really love about this 75 hard. I've transformed. It's a mental toughness challenge. And David Goggins is talking about how you can unlock this soul snatcher from inside of you. You're going to take away, like he talked about how the whole point of the military, because I've been through basic training, it's nothing compared to Navy SEAL training, but the whole point is you get into your company, which is your entire group, all of you when you're in there, and they beat you down. You might come in and you might be the shit. Your shit don't stink, like, whatever it is. They're going to come in and be like, listen here, you're nothing more than a maggot, just like all the other maggots in here. And we're going to help you guys tear you down and build you back up so you're one cohesive unit. Well, he talks about, in buds, like they're going to just try and make you just be miserable so you'll quit. Because if you are not mentally tough, you're not going to be able to be a Navy SEAL where you have to go and do these impossible feats, diving, he talks about how he would go scuba diving, but like in tactical gear and be able to do these impossible things. So anyways, they want you to quit because they only want the toughest of the tough to be there. And he talks about how he lost over 120 pounds, I think, within 3 months to get into training to become a Navy SEAL. So what he did was he just, he's like, well, I'm going to go run 4 miles a day. And he used to be fit. He used to be an athlete. We're both grew up in Indiana, both of us. And he's talking about all these things that relate to me. Like, oh my gosh, like Eco Labs. Like he used to work at Eco Lab where he'd go in and clean out the cockroaches from like Steak and Shake,
Yes.
all of those places. And he would come home and just after that get a milkshake from Steak and Shake, have an entire can of like Pillsbury cinnamon rolls, and just continue on about his day. Well, he goes to run and he realizes after like a quarter mile he can't run. He's so heavy. He can't do that. And he's like, screw this. I'm not going to be able to do it. And then he watches the show and he's like, I want to change. I want to be a different person because I'm not who I should be. God put me on this earth for a reason, and I want to accomplish that. Well, and all of this, he has no idea what kind of training he should be doing. He's just kicking ass. Like he's just going out there, running on the Monon Trail in the middle of the winter when nobody else is doing it because he has to drop this weight. Long story short, he ends up cutting the weight that's necessary. But in doing all of this, he had to go through buds 3 times because he wore himself down. He got into the untapped potential. I mean, he talks about his childhood trauma. And that's another thing that just kind of clicked on me this week because I've been listening to some of the podcasts that he's in when I had to reread it. We need to heal our inner child. Like when we heal our inner child, you're just going to be able to come to terms with things. He had was beaten senselessly as a child, watched his mom get beaten senselessly, had horrific murders happen growing up. And he's like, if I can survive that, why can't I survive this?
Right.
And he just kept pushing himself, but he wore himself down. So when he went through buds, he had to go through it 3 times because of injuries. He kept getting stress fractures and he just kept taping himself up. And then the final chapter of this book, which I wish I would have read sooner, he just talks about how he had this knot on the back of his head and he thought he was going to die. And he lost his vision, and the doctors, nobody could figure out what was going on. A couple of years prior, somebody came to see the Navy SEALs and because of how tough buds is on your body, you're just, and your hip flexors specifically. And that's where my lower back pain was. You're really tight. And what he found out, I need to start stretching. So there's not been a day in the last 4 years that he's missed stretching. He stretches every day. And I'm actually thinking about that.
3 hours a day. He's stretching.
Yeah, 3 hours a day of stretching, guys. David Goggins, and I'm gonna curse because he's the hardest motherfucker out there. He stretches every day. If David Goggins, this Navy SEAL, that's able to run over 100 miles in 17 hours, to complete over 4,000 pull-ups in 17 hours, he's done all these little feats. He held these Guinness World Records. And this guy, who is a Navy SEAL and macho, is able to stretch 3 hours a day, you should too. And I think with the stretching, it just helps release all of these toxins in us, and it helps us think clearer and just feel better overall. And I realized during the first 75 hard, I was in all of this pain. There were some times where I didn't want to get out of bed because I couldn't sleep because my lower back and hip hurt so bad. It's because my IT bands and my psoas and everything were so tight. So Munif, I would challenge you. Actually, it's one of my things I have on my list today. I've moved about 30 minutes from where I live. I'm going to be finding a hot yoga center in the area. And I actually just listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, where if anybody's David Goggins was just on there, and he talks about hot yoga. It's kind of like what the sauna does for you, but it's even better because you're also stretching. And there was a session when I was doing hot yoga, my core strength isn't there because I just I'm never going to have abs. Well, one of my things is I'm going to get abs this year. And from having abs, that means I'm eating right, I'm exercising well, I'm getting enough sleep. All of that's encompassed in getting abs. And we were doing planks one day, and I wanted to quit so bad. I was like, this is hard. I'm not having fun. This is hard. And I tapped into that cookie jar thing David Goggins talks about in his book. Have the cookie jar. What are these things that you've overcome in your life? For me, I completed basic training. I completed AIT, which is your advanced individual training. And I don't know if I've told you this, Munif, but I actually did all of this with an ovarian cyst that was 17 centimeters wide. It was 4.5 pounds. I basically had a small child growing off of my ovary, and I made it through all of basic. And they told me I actually had surgery on my 20th birthday, 3 days after they found the cyst.
Oh my God.
Thought my hip was broken. I've had this hip pain for about a decade now, 10 years. And that's one of my cookie jar things. I've been able to overcome all of these surgeries from injuries that that had happened. And I was in there. I was like, I'm not going to let myself wimp out on this plank for another 2 minutes. I'm going to be the last one standing. So through the breathing exercises and through thinking deep inside of my brain, pulling out of my cookie jar of, I can do this. I'm not a quitter. And for so long before I did the 75 hard, I don't know about you, Munif, but for me, I've just been able to glide off of my natural talents. Like it's easy for me to talk to people. I can pick up a sport and do it really well. I mean, I'm not the best reader and test taker, but things other than that, I'm great at it. So being able to tap in and push myself instead of just quitting after 2 weeks when it gets hard, I've seen that I am untouchable now. I can do so much more. So that's really what's been great for me after completing the 75 hard and then going into phase one. It's like, I'm not going to quit. Whereas usually what I'll do is like, this is hard. I'm going to quit. Like I'm uncomfortable. I don't like this. I don't know. This is outside of my realm. And finding that I can grow through the uncomfort is really cool. So that's my little tangent there. And I just like, that's so cool. So when you're doing this, I think I'm actually going to, I know I was talking about reading the You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar book, but I think I'm probably going to reread You Can't Hurt Me again, front to cover, and probably going to like up my pages like 20 to maybe 30 pages a day.
I love that.
Phase one.
So, I freaking love that. Can I tell you a story about a famous experiment? It was I believe it was a Harvard study. You might know this, but maybe some people watching might not know this study. It's the mice experiment where they took domesticated lab mice and they put them in a jar full of water. Have you heard this experiment?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so they take these mice and they do it where they have a ton of mice to get a ton of data, and they put them in a jar of water where they can't really, they have to tread water or they drown. Okay. And they time them on how long they're going to tread water. And how long do you think mice can tread water before they drown? Give me a guess.
I think I know that they swim at least. So I'm going to say probably like 5 minutes.
Great guess. So 15 minutes. You're really close. Okay. 15 minutes before they drown. And they would let them drown. It was a pretty controversial study, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. The answer was they let them drown after 15 minutes. So they would really try, and then after 15 minutes, they would get exhausted and they would drown. Okay. Then they took another group of mice. Same thing, 15 minutes and they drown. But they didn't let them drown. The second group, they didn't let them drown. They saved them.
Okay.
And they put them back and they let them catch their breath. And then they put them back in. How long do you think those mice treaded water?
I bet they drowned like pretty quickly. I bet they thought that they were going to be saved. So maybe 5 minutes this time. That's
interesting. The answer is 60 hours.
After saving them, 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then
because they had hope for survival.
Oh my gosh.
So they're like, if I keep swimming, the hand is going to save me. They're going to save me. I just have to keep swimming.
Wow.
60 hours.
That's
so
insane.
It's interesting, right? So they had this, they didn't just get 60 hours of life energy. It didn't just come out of magic. It was always there, right? It was always there. And they always had it in them. There was a mental barrier that made them give up in 50 minutes. But they had 60 hours in them. How much life do we have in us? Right? Like if we knew that we would be successful, how hard would we work?
I love that.
Right?
That's a great point.
So that's the mice experiment. I've been reading Relentless. Have you read that book?
Relentless. I don't think so.
It's I think his name is Tim Grover.
Oh, I know of Tim Grover. I have not read the book though.
Yeah, he's Michael Jordan's fitness coach or athletic trainer. And he gives me David Goggins vibes. He's like another David Goggins, but he's not necessarily as super into fitness or like, breaking your mental barriers as much as David Goggins, but they're very similar. I feel like they'd be best friends. Tim Grover talks about being a cleaner. And what that means is he takes people and he categorizes them broadly into three separate categories. And everyone, like, when reading the book, he asks you to really think about what kind of person you are and what kind of person you want to be. So the first category of person is a cooler, the second is a closer, and the third is a cleaner. And he talks about the cooler is the kind of person that really just does the bare minimum. That if you are given something to do, you do the bare minimum. Before you take any kind of action, you really care a lot about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
If things go wrong, you look for excuses, and you're just really about deflecting responsibility, right? The closer, if you're the kind of person who's a closer, maybe you have closer tendencies, you get things done. You get things done. If there's an opportunity that's out there and you capitalize it, you get things done, but you're inconsistent at it. And you really live off of the glory or the validation you get from people. So if you get the prize, you're really motivated by a lot of people saying, wow, great job, you did great, and you really feed off that more than what it is you actually did. And you capitalize on opportunities given, but if things go wrong, you have somebody to blame maybe. And then the third kind of person is a cleaner, and you are focused on the results. You really don't care who gets the glory, who gets the fame. You don't care. None of that's important. What's important is the results. You really couldn't care less about what people think about you because you're so focused on the results. And you don't capitalize on opportunities. You do capitalize on them, but you're somebody who creates opportunities. That's the kind of person you are. And he talks about Kobe Bryant. He talks about Michael Jordan. These people were cleaners. Every aspect of their life, they were completely clean, and they took out the trash. Whatever it was, they got it done. They were so focused on the results that none of the other details really mattered. They created opportunities. It's a great book. I highly recommend you read it.
Relentless. All right, that'll be on my list then.
From good to great to unstoppable, right? So a cooler might be somebody who's good, a closer might be somebody who's great, and then a cleaner is somebody who's absolutely unstoppable. A cleaner is somebody who they don't sit there and study their opponents, whatever competition they are. Their opponents study them.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. I mean, coming from a background of basketball, what we would do, I don't know if this is for everybody, but we would, before our games on the weekend, we play. I played for a pretty good school in high school. We were ranked in our school. I almost went to college for basketball. I ended up tearing my ACL and didn't do that. But that's what we would do beforehand. We'd have a game plan. We'd know roughly what their plays were, who their best shooter was, if they just depended on their right hand more than their left hand. So it's great to think of, like, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan probably didn't focus on anybody else. They focused on themselves and how they can be better and what they needed to work on, instead of focusing on, Munif is really right-handed. Let's force him to use his left hand. He's just like, I'm going to get into Munif's head and I'm going to let him know that I'm the baddest. I'm going to score. Mm-hmm. He's not getting into mine. I mean, you can see that. Have you ever seen that video of Kobe when he's standing playing defense and they're about to throw the inbound ball and the guy fakes the ball right in his face? He doesn't flinch at all.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
You can't mess with people that are mentally tough like that. So
right.
I'm just finding, again, bring it back to those cold showers. I'm like, gosh, I'm invincible. I think eventually I'm going to just, when I get my own place, my own house, I'm going to get one of those ice baths. I'm going to take those ice baths every day and really focus and visualize what I want. And I'm just seeing, like, these things are attainable. I'm not just going through the motions. I'm not just hitting this checklist. So I love hearing that. So what, I'm going to transition here.
Sure.
What are you going to start doing in your 75 hard? So you're going to restart tomorrow because you just feel like you've been going through the motions and you haven't really been doing it intentionally. What's going to change for you?
That's a really good question. So after this podcast, I'm going to sit down and just journal.
Okay.
And I'm just going to journal and just get, I just want to get all of my ideas on paper. And then after I get it on paper, it might be 4 or 5, maybe 10 pages of journaling. I'm going to go through, review, and grab big concepts and create an outline. And then I'm going to fill that outline, that skeleton, with information, and get this nice, just solid plan that I want for the next 90 days. And then from that, I'm going to create actionable items to do every single day and build systems in my life that I can live inside of starting tomorrow. And it's going to incorporate the miracle morning and, phase one. And I want to time block and be very intentional about this, right? Like phase one really kind of started. I knew it was coming, but I wasn't as intentional about it as I wanted to be. So I'm spending today creating that intention and setting the tone for the next 90 days of my life.
I love that. So I can't remember. Let's talk about the miracle morning. I have the app pulled up on my phone. I want to cover the lifesavers. But while you're pulling that up, I can't remember when we recorded our last episode. Did I talk to you about my breakthrough on my visualization?
No, tell me about it.
Okay, so let me talk about that, and then we'll talk about the lifesavers and this whole miracle morning. Again, guys, that book is just called The Miracle Morning for Millionaires. There's a bunch of variations, but this is the one that I'm reading currently. I've listened to the audiobook of just The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. So on the 75 hard, it says you can either do it like Andy Frisella, who created 75 hard, says that he usually does the visualization right before bed. And the Miracle Morning talks about, doing your evening affirmations. So when you wake up in the morning, you're ready to wake up, because your last thought the night before you wake up is generally the first thought you have going into your next day. So if you're like, gosh, you're looking at the clock and you're like, I'm only going to get 7 hours of sleep tonight, or I'm only, that's actually a lot for me. So we talked about this, but like, I'm only going to get 4 hours of sleep. Like, gosh, I'm going to be miserable tomorrow. If you think that, you're going to wake up and you're going to be tired, and you're not going to want to get out of bed. And I know that we've talked about before that you would actually practice your morning routine. Your alarm would go off, you get up, brush your teeth like you need to. Yeah. So the other day, the first 2 nights of the 75 hard phase one, I was doing my visualizations with the lights off in my bed right behind me, as you can see. I would lay there and I'd visualize everything. And this is where I got into looking at my vision board. I have a lot on my vision board, and I think that's good, but I also think it's bad because I'm getting things mixed up a little bit. I'm seeing like I have my physical goals. I have how much money I want to be making, how to wipe out my debt, like an assignment checks on here, journaling daily, my miracle morning. I want to get these podcasts done with you. I want to cover, there's certain goals that I want to do with our podcast. I want to continue bringing value. I want to spend 10 minutes a day learning Spanish from Duolingo. Like I want to do the 75 hard again, and I want to get a new car, and I want to be consistent. Anyway, so I was like thinking about it, and I'm like bouncing from thought to thought. And I'm like, this is just, how do I accomplish all of this? This is a lot. I'm overwhelmed. And one of them on my vision board, it says, win the Closers Olympics. And I realized when I'm looking at this, and I had this, the third night I did my visualizations with the light on, because they say, use a vision board. It'll help you, stay on track. And with my ADHD, I realized like my thoughts wander, and I have to bring myself back to center and focus on the goal. So I was sitting in bed and I was looking at my vision board, and I was just like, gosh, this is a lot. And I was slowing down in my 10 minutes of visualization, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I win the Closers Olympics, I will have the $60,000 in my checking that I want. I will be able to get those opportunities for the rentals that I want, and I'll be making the passive cash flow that I want. I'll be able to get the affordable housing that I want for domestic abuse victims. I'll be able to buy my own sub-2 house. All of these little things, I can get rid of my credit card debt. From that, I also journal every day because I need to plan my day. So if I wake up with a routine and a plan, and I only focus on being the best closer that I can be, everything else is going to fall into place on my vision board. And it actually brought me back to thinking about what you said when you came in and you started doing the daily dial. And you were like, I'm not going to worry about comping. I'm not going to worry about my corporate structure. Now you're messing around with private money, but you weren't working on private money. You focused on one thing at a time. And I was just like, gosh, if I just focus on one thing at a time right here, I will be able to attain this. This is going to be easy for me to hit. So I would recommend when you do start to do the visualizations, have your vision board and look at it. And it might not be on the first day, but on the third day, you're like, a light bulb will switch. So that was something that was huge. And I just wanted to share that. Do your visualizations and check out your vision board, and it'll help you a ton. So transition again. Let's talk about the Miracle Morning now. So
Okay.
the app that we have, just the Miracle Morning, it was $5 as well. So the 75 hard app is $5. And you know what? Actually, I'm one of those people, Munif. I don't know about you. When I look at stuff and the app store tries to charge me for things, I'm like, absolutely not. I can live without it. But
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm not doing 75 hard, I'll go out and eat fast food or something that's not good for me. Like, $5 on a meal is not bad. $10 on a meal is not bad. And I'm like, this will really help me. If I spend $5, $4.99 on this app, this is going to help me have less anxiety and be able to accomplish my goals. So anyways, inside of the 75 hard, there's this thing called the lifesavers. And this is what has helped so many people be successful. And this is what I've struggled with my whole life, is being prepared and planning and having a routine. So the lifesavers stand for silence. Wake up in the morning and have just absolute silence. Again, going back to, I would wake up and immediately have to be on the run and do what I needed. I get to set the tone for my day in the morning. Like, everybody's not blowing me up with questions. I don't have everybody in my ear. We were talking about earlier, we've got to focus on our money making activities. Like, it's what's really important to us. We can't give our time to everybody. So waking up with silence, I just talk about, like, or I say to myself, I'm so grateful that I have a roof over my head, that I have my own studio space, that I have a brand new bed. I have these comfortable, I got 4 pillows now. I've been one of those 2 pillow girls my whole life. These 4 pillows have changed the way that I'm sleeping. I don't like
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%. So I think I'm assuming, have you done some meditations before the Miracle Morning? Have you done any kind of just time to yourself, Munif?
Like in general?
When you wake up?
Well, not necessarily in the morning, but I've been like probably meditating for the past decade.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm like really into meditation, mindfulness, right? And breathing. Like anytime I'm anxious, I do breathing exercises, but not as like a practice that I do every day. It's something I have practiced. I typically do a lot of my mindfulness and meditations on long walks in nature. That's like my favorite time to just breathe and just like find my center and get really zen. But I typically don't like sitting in a chair, sitting still and closing my eyes and just like, I can. I'd rather be on a walk than just like looking at nature.
I love that. Well, every different strokes for different folks. It's what works for you. I realize that I have so many thoughts going through my head. It helps me if I'm stationary and I can write it down.
That's so nice.
The next one.
So,
the next one for me. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Real quick. So sorry. So I just got the app, right?
Okay.
And it lets me choose my challenge, beginner or advanced. What do you recommend?
I chose beginner.
You chose beginner?
I chose beginner because I've never done it.
I've never done it.
I've never done the 30-day challenge. So thank you for slowing me down. I want to just get through all the points. Guys, the app is $5 and it does give you that prompt if you're a beginner and expert. I've never done the Miracle Morning consistently for 30 days. And you don't have to do everything all at once from what they say. You can break it up. So if you can't read your pages first thing in the morning, you can read it later on in the day. I just know, Munif, you and I are both really busy and we'll have people hitting us up all day. I realize if I get up in the morning and accomplish it, like swallow the frog first thing in your day. And I just see that I'm able to get more things done with my time if I do it earlier in the day.
Yeah, I love that. So okay, now you're gonna go over the savers? Is that what you're gonna do now? Okay,
yep, that's what I'm going over. So I just went over the first one and I set mine to start tomorrow.
Okay, me too. So silent. Okay, so that's where that came from. The silence, the meditation. So like start the day in silence.
Wake up, start the day in silence. And in the book, it even says like you can do the Miracle Morning in an hour. I'm trying to, but you can break it up. If you can't always have an hour to do the Miracle Morning, you can do it in 6 minutes. So you can spend 1 minute focusing on the on the silence and what you're grateful for and a moment of gratitude. The next one out of the savers, so it's SAVERS. The next one is A for affirmations. I've written some affirmations down. There's been other ones where I'm a leader. I'm confident. I'm a planner. I'm organized. I'm determined. It's what they say in the book is you need to have emotion behind it. You need to really believe what you're saying on your affirmations, and it needs to be something constructive that can help you achieve it. Actually, let me tell you what it said specifically when you're making affirmations. You need to clarify the specific action, activity, or habit that is required for you to achieve your ideal outcome, and clearly state how often you will execute the necessary action. So, what I've done, Munif, is and I will share my screen so you can see it. I started working on my affirmations, which I'm not done completing, but here it is. I'm going to throw it up so you can see. It is, where did I put it? I have so many tabs open at the moment. Here it is. So one of them is, I'm 100% committed, and these are actually just prompts from the book. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, this one. I'm 100% committed to being as healthy as I can be, so that I have the energy to be fully present in my business and with those around me. The next one is, I am committed to tripling my income in the next 12 months from 54,000 to 162,000 so that I can provide financial security for my family. Again, these are just like prompts. I'm going to clean them up a little bit. To ensure that, and number 3, to ensure that I am as healthy as I can be, I'm 100% committed to going to the working out. Yes, yeah, I mean, fix it. To the working out 7 days per week. I will walk my dogs for 3 miles a day and attend yoga 3 times a week. To guarantee that I triple my income, I'm committed to doubling my daily prospecting calls from 20 to 40 calls per day, 5 days a week, from 3 to 6 p.m., no matter what. So these are things that are non-negotiables. And what I'm going to do is the only reason I wrote these out on a Google Doc is I'm going to print them out and I'm going to laminate them, and I'm going to make them, cleaner, organized, but they're going to go in my shower. So when I'm taking my cold showers, I'm going to read my affirmations. I'm going to make it small enough so it can become the visor of my car. So if I'm at a stoplight and I'm just like, what's going on? I'm going to read my affirmations to myself. I want to have emotion behind it. That's what they talk about. When you're reading your affirmations, you should really believe it. And they should be things that you think you can do. Don't just say like, I am a millionaire, when you know you're not. You're lying to yourself. Like, I will be a millionaire, and I will be a millionaire because I'm taking like 100% accountability for my actions. And that's some affirmations. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I was writing those out through my day, and they were just like little short ones.
You gave me an idea.
It was nothing. Go ahead, let me hear it.
You gave me an idea. So I listen to affirmations in my sleep. I don't know if we talked about this before. This is something I do. There's like a YouTube playlist. My cousin Faiz shared it with me a long time ago, like 9 months ago, 10 months ago. And I started listening to them. It's like an 8-hour track you listen to through your sleep. It plays like alpha waves. So some people listen to like white noise. I listen to this 8-hour track of affirmations, and they're really nice. They're really pleasant, and I fall asleep to them. And I don't know, maybe I like to think they help, right?
Yeah.
The idea you gave me is I'm going to take that track and see if I can just get the voice removed from it. I'm going to see if I can get somebody on Fiverr, and then I'm going to record myself saying the affirmations that I want and have it played on an 8-hour time scale and listen to that. My own voice.
I like that. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, because I like
listening to your own affirmations.
Right, because like, look, I really believe in like subconscious programming. I believe we are constantly programmed by society, by advertisements, by what people said to us when we were a kid, by even our parents unintentionally saying something mean or nasty, or a brother or sister saying something. And like, that stuff gets trapped in your psyche, and you'll have bodily feelings about certain things that you might not know where they came from because you were programmed by somebody else, right? It's just part of being alive. And it's like, what if you could reprogram yourself on some level? What if you could take some control back, right? Like, some people don't watch TV because they don't want to be bombarded by advertisements for different products, and they're out of it. And that's amazing. And they're like, hey, I don't want to be programmed by millions and billions of dollars spent into programming me. So I buy Ben and Jerry's ice cream or buy the newest car. So it's like, yes, Johnny says subconscious programming as kids, it's up to us to change it. At least that's what I believe. I completely agree, right? We've been brainwashed, and not like, I'm not saying this is some conspiracy theory. It's just called culture, right? That's what it is. Yeah. I mean, every culture has had it. So it's like, what if you could do it yourself? That's what I think about a lot. It's like, how can I brainwash myself to think that no matter what, I am somebody who can be resourceful and solve all and any problems in my way? What if I really believe that, right? That's a great belief. I would love to believe that. What if I thought that, hey, no matter what happens, if I really work hard and use the optimal amount of my brain power, my willpower, and really focus on something, I will get what I want. What if I really believe that? Right? There are things that I think serve us and make us better people if we just really believe them about ourselves. So I think you just gave me a great idea. Like, I think I'm gonna start something like this and replace what I'm listening to with some of my affirmations that I chose.
I love that. I mean, that's it comes down to what works for everybody, and I am excited to hear what your affirmations are going to be. So, affirmations daily. The next one is visualization. That's one of the 75 hard phase 1 steps. But for me, I've always heard of visualizations like just see yourself doing it, and I just again go through the motions. But I wrote down my own little note was like, have your eyes closed and visualize yourself reaching your goals and your day going perfectly and accomplishing everything easily. You should smell it, you should taste it, you should feel it. So this morning when I was doing it, I was thinking about how smooth our podcast was going to go. I was thinking about the Zoom area earlier, and I was talking about the 75 hard because there's a lot of people that were interested in doing it. If you imagine your day is going to go perfectly, it will. If you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you stub your toe and then you're like, this is the end, this is going to be a bad day. It's going to be a bad day. So
Yeah.
working up with those thoughts of, yeah, no, this is my day. Everything's going to roll my way. I'm going to accomplish what I've set out to do. And I think that's huge. So visualization, as I can tell, I had a breakthrough and I'm like slowing down. I mean, I'm thinking about myself talking right now through this podcast. For a while there, when I wanted to get all these thoughts out, the way my brain works for the Can't Hurt Me book on David Goggins, I realized I was just running through it there. And there's just so many things. Sometimes I get so excited and I go too quickly. Whereas I need to slow down, let myself catch up to my thoughts and express what I'm truly thinking. So visualization goes a little bit along with my like meditation. I feel like I think about how I'm going to achieve those things. The next step on the miracle morning is exercise. Again, with our 75 hard, we have a 45-minute workout, but it's one of those things that gets your blood pumping. It wakes you up, gets you alert. They recommend doing, 10 minutes bare minimum. You can do 20. We're going to be doing 45. Stretching. Stretching is huge. We talked about that for a portion of this podcast. Makes you feel better. You're going to be able to think clearer. When you have those endorphins as well, you feel better. The next one is reading. Just says read for a couple of pages. Again, I'm reading 10 pages a day. I'm going to bump it up to 20 to 30. I was reading this morning, and I'm actively, when I'm reading, Munif, I'm actually going through it because they recommend to do it. Like, let's see if I can find a page here. I generally am, there it is, highlighting the crap out of the book.
I love that.
What I like. So just looking at this, let's just see, like one of the big things. Here you go. An intelligent human being who isn't delusional, lying to yourself repetitively will never be the optimum strategy. The truth will always prevail. So it just talks about, yeah. So I just mentioned this one. Lying to yourself doesn't work when you're making affirmations. I'm a millionaire. You're like, really? Am I? That's crazy that I opened up that part of the book. So your actions must be in alignment with your desired results. So I was just like, there's little parts when you guys get a book. This is the great part of having physical books. Like, go through on different pages and highlight what's important to you. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the reason behind it? And write notes in the margins of the books that you have. So I really like that when you're reading. I'm actually taking the time when I read. I'm journaling at the same time. When I have a great thought, I'm going through my journal and adding that. I have so many ideas that run through my head at the same time. And the last letter on the lifesavers is scribing. So it makes savers work instead of save was with a W at the end instead of writing. So scribing, taking time to journal in your day, talk about your wins. And it's a great thing to look back at your journey and where you've been. I wish I would have started like doing more personal development when I got into, real estate in general, or just like when I was getting older, because I think I would have seen like all of my personal struggles I talked about for a while there. We're our harshest critics. We think we're not doing enough. We see somebody else doing something, and we're, comparison is the thief of joy. If I would have just looked at myself and loved myself sooner and really taken the time to read, be alone with my thoughts, and invest in myself and my health and my wealth, I think we would all be further along in our lives and happier. But I'm glad I'm doing this now because I can, I see a therapist, and that was something I was talking about. Like, I'm so glad I'm here and I want to go on to the next step. I can't wait. And my therapist actually said, she's like, Caroline, you like to do epic and excessive shit. Like, you got to think of where you are now compared to where you were last year. And I'm like,
right.
you're so right, because I keep moving on to the next step. I forget about how far along I've come. So take the time to journal and just talk about how you're feeling and what you're looking forward to and something that you've learned. And, you'll have this journal that you're using or whatever notebook you want, and you'll be able to see, wow, last year at this time, I came to the realization that getting Airbnbs and getting passive income is the move instead of trying to constantly wholesale or work for a W-2 for somebody else where it's a company that doesn't really care about me. I'm just an
Right.
employee. I'm working 50-hour weeks to ask for the ability to go on vacation. Like, how does that make sense? I'm giving you my
Right.
life for like, I have to ask for time off and I might not get approved for it. So those are the lifesavers from the Miracle Morning. So you and I are going to be doing that for the next 30 days.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you just gave me another idea. You're just giving me a lot of ideas.
Hey man, I'm telling you, sitting down and like writing things out and then thinking about it, you'll have things fire off. So let's hear your idea. What is it?
So I hate writing. Like I like
Okay.
like I'll type, I'll text, but like I'll write if I really have to. But what ends up happening is I'm like I'm a visionary, right? Like so, like even when I visualize, I'll get 7-8 ideas in a 10-minute visualization, right? Like I'll get and they're really solid, really, really good ideas, and I want to capitalize on them. And I'm like journaling. What happens is if I sit down, I've journaled before with like a pen and paper, right? Like I know myself, I've tried it, and I will just get like so many ideas, but then I can't write fast enough. I just can't. So my idea is my journaling is going to be voice memos. Think of that movie where I think, who was it? Was it Matt Damon was in Mars, and he was like growing a little like a plantation, like in Mars, right?
Yeah, inside a little dome.
Yeah, in his little dome, and he was doing voice memos. That was his journal. So like I'm like, what? I could totally do that because I can say, hey, today is blah 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 blah, and it's 5 a.m. and these are my wins from yesterday. And just me saying it, if I have an idea, I can just say it. It's all recorded. So you just gave me a great idea. I'm gonna do audio journals.
I love that. And I'm not like writing down like everything. I'm actually just using I've talked about it before, but that Brendan Burchard journal. You get a bunch of them for a year. Off of, I think it's $40. You get an entire year's worth of journals. It's just called the High Performance Planner. So if anybody's watching, High Performance Planner by Brendan Burchard, but it gives me prompts, and I'm not doing anything super crazy, but like there you can see the one day I wrote down all of my affirmations here in the small subtext, but it's just like the little things. Like I feel like if you wake up and you start your day with gratitude, you're going to have a happier day. So it lets me think of like, who do I want to send a gift or a note of appreciation? Actually, you were on here today for me. So I'm grateful that you're doing a podcast with me and that we get to bounce ideas off one another. But just those little prompts. So I'm just writing little notes to myself, and there's nothing crazy, but it's just like, I learned this today, and it doesn't have to be, end of the world. You don't have to be critical of yourself that you're spelling things wrong in grammar. It's for you. You don't have to share it with anybody. So I love that it's going to be making you that you're looking forward to making voice memos. I think that'll make a difference.
I am. And it's part of what I said earlier, right? Like I want to create these systems that I can live inside of. And my life business coach says, like you got to know yourself. And then you got to create these systems that you actually want to be inside of, right? You actually want, and that you're actually going to do. Like there. So a balance. This is a balance I've been struggling with, which is where you draw the line between I'm going to do this. I'm hard. I'm like going to be like David Goggins, and I'm going to run 18 miles because I could, just to see if I can. And then the line of, look, like, I want to create systems that work for me and optimize who I can be as a person. Yeah, sure. I'd love to see what I'm capable of, but like, is running 18 miles really what I need and want right now? Or is creating a system where instead of writing something, I use my voice memo because it's easier and I'll do it and I'll actually get more out of it if I do it.
You'll be consistent.
I'll be consistent about it. So where do you draw the line of mental toughness for the sake of mental toughness and efficiency, knowing who you are? And that's so tricky. because it's
Mhm.
like you can easily go, man, am I being a baby? Or no, I don't want to be super fascist with myself, right? You
Mhm.
want to be kind to yourself. You don't want to be a fascist. So that's always I love your yoga plank analogy. Like that's a really good example of you're not being a fascist by saying I'm going to keep doing this plank. Like it hurts, but I need to do it. You're actually being mentally tough, right?
Mhm.
And so that's something to think about. That's something that no one can answer for you. You have to decide what that is for yourself.
I love that. I think that is actually a great note to wrap this podcast up on. Like what is your threshold? Where can you
Right.
go? What are you comfortable with, and like how far do you want to push yourself? So I'm going to challenge everybody. We have some people watching us live right now. Like, what are you guys looking forward to improving on? What is something that you want to grow into or get the hang of? I'm actually really curious because we're constantly like problem solving is what we love to do.
Mhm.
And right now, I know if I get myself in the best physical shape and not only like looking good on the outside, but feeling good. Like I'm not doing cold showers because I want to suffer. I'm doing it because it's going to improve like my immune system. I don't want to be sick, especially in a time where we're going into another year of this pandemic. Like I don't want to lose my sense of taste or smell. I love the way food tastes. So, um, take care of yourselves. What are you guys looking forward to pushing yourselves? Do you have anything else to add in here, Munif?
No, you just gave me another idea.
I want to be with you every morning. We're going to start doing our journaling together.
Oh yeah. So
What's your idea?
you gave me an idea. Like you're like where you draw the line, right? So I think I'm gonna make the systems I live inside easy and like easy, like really something that fits for me where I'll do them and I'll stay consistent and I'll actually enjoy doing them. Maybe not in the moment, but I know that I will. Like if I do this, this is gonna be great. But then I'll probably be more of a David Goggins on the results I want.
Hmm.
So like where it's like results, like I want the results, I want the result. I'll do anything to get the result. Um I'll handwrite contracts or letters to sell, like whatever it is. If there's a seller and I gotta write, and I hate writing, but if I need to do this writing to get that result, I'll do it. So
Yeah.
I'll be super tough on that stuff. But when it comes to systems that I'm creating, like calendars or things like that, I'll do what actually easy in a way where I will be consistent. I'm not going to make things harder for myself just for the sake of being hard.
I love
So
that.
you gave me that idea. Thank you.
I love that guy. I mean, like, know your bounds, know what you're
Mhm.
capable of. So, anybody that's just hopping on or listening, just to recap, we're doing 75 hard phase one. We need to starting over again tomorrow. If I could talk to my previous self, if I could talk to myself from 5 years ago, talk to myself from last year, I would seriously tell myself to read the Miracle Morning. Read the Miracle Morning first. And then I would check out Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Those would be my first two books that I would read. And just remember to love yourself. I think that's something that's really important. I was texting our friend, Ingrid Hernandez. We did hot yoga together for a while, and one of the practices in the hot yoga studio they say is like hug yourself and tell yourself I love you. And when I was journaling this morning, I put it on my Instagram story. I actually tagged you because I love your message. I love being able to see anybody that's listening, or if you're a friend or I follow you, I follow you for a reason. You've brought value into my life, and I hope I'm bringing value into yours. But like I just want to reiterate, we're our harshest self critics. Like
Right.
I would be so hard on myself. Not like, wow, Caroline, you're doing this. You're scrolling on TikTok because like mentally you need a break and you're not seeing that. I would just be like, wow, you're wasting time when you should be doing like a money making activity. And just be really, really harsh to myself, or you're fat or you're dumb because you can't sit still and read a book. And instead of like talking to myself like somebody that I love, I was tearing myself down. So I also want to leave this with a challenge. And I know I brought up these questions. Like, I want you guys to talk to yourself this week. Even
Hmm.
if you don't follow along and do the miracle morning with us for the 75 hard, talk to yourself like you would a partner. When you're trying to get a date, you're not going to treat somebody and tear them down. You're going
Right.
to build them up. You're looking for the best in somebody. So I just want you to think of loving yourself, hug yourself, love yourself. Like you're doing things to help you. Okay. Be the best version of yourself. You love yourself so you can love others. You can't pour from an empty cup. So
Right.
that's really all I have here. I mean, Munif, I'm so glad that we get to do another podcast episode together.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that we get to bounce ideas off. I can't wait to see everything that you put into action here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, man.
You too. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great day.